Hello and welcome to Fairly Basic Tech. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm stepping away from the tutorials for just a moment, and I'm going to tell you how I was able to change careers at age 38 into IT. I hope this video could be helpful for anybody that might think, I don't know how to do this at this point in my life. I didn't either, but I just want to tell you that it is very, very doable. A little bit of backstory. I was a nerdy little kid, but I was born at a time when personal computers weren't that common. My family didn't get our first computer until I was in high school. That was a Packard Bell 386. I believe it had a 15 megabyte hard drive. Maybe 512K in RAM. Maybe a megabyte in RAM. And it was running that fine operating system of MS-DOS 5.0. So that's where that was. And that's when I'm in high school. I didn't really start learning anything about this stuff until college. I went to a major state university. I got a degree in management information systems. I graduated in 2001. That degree taught me, the fundamentals of programming, of databases, some telecommunication. I graduated at a time when the dot-com bubble was bursting. I had a short contract in IT, and after that I had a real hard time finding work. I had family in the mortgage industry that was able to get me an in there while I was looking for IT work. I ended up making connections and spent the next 13 years of my life underwriting mortgage loans. Nothing against that job, but it was something that I did for a paycheck. I was never inspired in that job. I was never interested in banking personally, and I just got burnt out. In January of 2017, I was downsized out of my last mortgage job, and I decided it was time to make a change. But how on earth was I going to do that? I had a 16-year-old degree. I had a small amount of experience 15 years ago, and I'd been doing something completely unrelated in the meantime. It was daunting to say the least, but I just could not stomach the idea of taking another mortgage job. It's just not for me, and I knew that beyond the shadow of a doubt. So I started applying for entry-level jobs in IT right away, and I started studying for the A+ exam because I knew that was the doorway in. I had maintained an interest as a hobby in technology throughout my mortgage career. I had built a couple of computers. I'd been active on some forums online, just followed CNET and, the big technology websites. So I didn't find the A+ exam that difficult. I got the study manual, read through the book, took some practice tests online, and in under a month I had that certification. So after I got the A+, I called up a friend who had a history in IT and asked him what he felt like the next big certification I should get would be while I had all this time on my hands. People still weren't biting at my resume at this time, so I was very fortunate to have some savings and an unemployment check to live on, and just kept plugging away because I knew this was something I had to do. He advised going after the CCNA. That sounded really intimidating, especially since I knew nothing about networking. But he told me a little bit about it. I got the first big book for the CCENT, which is the first part of that exam. I got some equipment off of eBay, a couple of really old switches, a couple of really old routers, and a bunch of cables. and I started reading and labbing and watching videos, and in 6 weeks I passed that first exam. Then I got the second big book for the CCNA part, and 6 weeks later I passed that exam. So a few months after losing my last mortgage job, I've got the A+, I've got the CCNA, and people are starting to pay attention to my resume. And very soon after that, I land my first job at a major utility. It's a contract position working at their call center help desk. And that was the best thing that could have happened to me at that time. It's just a contract position. There's certainly no stability there, but I am learning so much about troubleshooting. And I cannot advise strongly enough, troubleshooting is the best thing that you can learn if you want a job in this field. So you may want to turn your nose up at a call center job. You may want to turn your nose up at a help desk job. Don't. That is the entryway in. And while it is hard, the things that you learn in those jobs are absolutely essential. I worked that job for a year. I get hired on at a credit union after that. Get out of the contract world into a job that actually has some benefits. And then a year later, I'm working at a major medical center. And I am so satisfied with where I am right now. And I'm just looking back and imagining if I had gone back and gotten another mortgage job, I would have just been miserable. So if you're considering making a career change, do it. You don't have to be unemployed to do it, by the way. That's just how it happened to me. That was the impetus to really light the fire. I don't know that I would have quit a job to pursue this. But yeah, I mean, you can start pursuing certifications during your off time. It might take you a little bit longer to get them, but, knock out that A+. It's very, very doable. The CCNA is scary, but if you're willing to put in the work, it's not impossible. In fact, as I'm recording this next week, Cisco is releasing their new CCNA certification exam. It is a huge restructure from the way that they had offered it in the past. And it may actually be easier to get now, but it is an invaluable certification if you want to learn networking. And yeah, it has a good reputation for a reason. That is certainly something I would recommend for someone looking to get into this career. So here I am. I'm 41 years old now. I started in this at 38. I thought it was too late, but it absolutely wasn't. And you don't have to lose your job to get a second career. You can start pursuing these certifications during your off hours. There's night classes, there's online classes, there's books and labs online. It's a challenge, but I just can't say strongly enough. It is worth the challenge to do something that you find fulfilling as a career. So that's all I've got to say about that. Check out my other videos. I'll get back to the tutorials next week. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you see fit. Thanks. Bye.